Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to take a minute to say we are going to be kicking off the live stream in about 5 minutes. So sit back, relax, and we'll get down to some Unreal Engine in just a moment. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be kicking off our Unreal Engine 4 Beginners course. I just wanted to start off by just making sure that everyone can hear me all okay on the YouTube live stream here. If you can hear me just in the YouTube live stream, just drop me a little thumbs up in the comments and I'll be able to know that you guys can hear me, and you can also see the live stream all good and well as well. So just drop those little thumbs up in there for me, and then we will move on to getting hands-on with Unreal Engine. So as soon as we've got one or two, we'll be cracking on with that. Alternatively, if you can't find the YouTube comments for whatever reason, guys, just drop it in the Discord as well. I can also take a little look there to make sure that we've got everything that we need. So yeah, just give me those thumbs up, guys. Yep, awesome, perfect. I'm seeing those thumbs up come through there, which is great. So let's talk a quick little bit about the course that we're going to be looking at. So this is going to be the very first session, which is going to be part of an 8-week course. Every single week, we are going to be going over an Unreal Engine topic, starting from the very basics, opening up Unreal Engine for the first time, dressing our scene, and all that good stuff. And we're going to be moving on to some more fun topics like lighting, importing assets, and animations, and materials, and even sequencer, all as part of this course. So it's something that you guys should be super excited to follow along with. Myself, this is something that I absolutely cannot wait to get started with as well. Now, with this, a couple of things I do want you to bear in mind with this course is We are going to be asking a couple of questions, we are going to be doing some engagement, and that's all going to be over on the Discord, the link for which you guys should all have in your calendar invites and you should have access to already. I can see that we've got quite a few people in there, so when I do ask, if I do ask any questions, just put the answers in there, and then also if you have any questions of your own, use the Discord. It is full of about 200 Framestore members at the moment, and hopefully maybe some of you guys are going to be able to help each other out, or if not, I can even help you out after the lesson as well. So let's go ahead and move on. So first things first, like I said, questions over on the Discord. What we are going to be doing is running a Q&A, which I'm going to talk about at the end of this session, where I'm going to be taking any of your questions relating to this course or the session that we've delivered today, and I'm going to be able to answer them. Because we have got so many people watching this live stream right now, unfortunately I won't be able to answer questions. We've currently got over 100 people watching this session, which is really awesome. So any questions, leave them in the Discord or hop in for our Q&A that we're going to be touching up on later on. In addition to that, as part of this course, there is some minimum requirements. First and foremost, you need to have Unreal Engine installed on your computer already. And in addition to that, it's also good if you can open up a project for the first time. Otherwise, the first time you open Unreal Engine, it takes a little while. So open it up just once, make sure it's working, and then close it down. And then everything else for this course, we are going to show you absolutely everything that you need. In addition to this is going to be a hands-on class. So you are going to be getting hands-on with Unreal Engine, and you are going to be building your very own scene for the first time. In addition to that, this is a 1-hour class, which you guys are all going to be doing in your own time. So having said that, if you need to go away for whatever reason, by all means, go ahead and do so. This class is going to be recorded, so if you want to follow along at a later time, then by all means, you can do so. So, also, at the very end of this session, we are going to be having a bit of a feedback form that I'd like you guys to all fill out, as this is my first time as an employee for Framestore delivering Unreal Engine content, so any feedback you guys can give me, it definitely is going to help me improve. So, let's start off by watching a quick video which is going to show us the need for Unreal Engine 4 within the film industry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this and I'm just going to disappear for 2 minutes, and this video, it is super inspiring, all of the awesome things that people have been able to do with Unreal Engine 4. Without further ado, let's go ahead and open it up.
My name's Dan May. I'm the co-founder of a company called Painting Practice. We're a digital design company helping bridge the gap between traditional art department and visual effects. And really kind of, I suppose, expanded and grown in the last 5 years with productions like His Dark Materials. Unreal Engine came in early in pre-production, and we dabbled a little bit in real-time rendering on a couple of other shows. For Black Mirror, we built the San Junipero nightclub in a game engine to sort of show Charlie Brooker how to navigate around. So I was familiar with the technology, and then we started doing previs and set design using the engine, primarily for the major set of Trollesund and also the Bear Palace stuff. Unreal was a great way of getting people to physically be in a space that was not even conceived. We'd done a concept model, and we basically scanned the quarry with photogrammetry, the drones, built a high-res model, dropped in all the concept models, started applying Unreal textures on them, and then we were able to show the director, producers, like, this is what our town could be.
The scale of this show gave us an opportunity to push the exploration a little bit. And so yes, with Trollesund we got to explore it for real, and we got to really make some key decisions on the scale of the buildings and the scale of the set, because these are very expensive sets, and on a show like His Dark Materials, where you're building an entire town for one episode, you've got to make really good decisions that are practical and financial and creative, and they're all combined. And that tool and what Painting Practice's team created gave us an ability to make critical judgments that meant that we could get it right on the edge of affordable and absolutely on the edge of shootable, in the sense of there was no fat on what we built.
The bear fight from season 1 on this, you know, something that physically doesn't exist. We didn't even have the set at that point. One of the things I found the most useful was giving me a virtual camera to be able to get in that scene and shoot the shots that I wanted and walk around and look at the bear fight and see, you know, because I wanted that fight to feel like it was a real fight being shot, not a CG fight. I could actually do that with Unreal. I could move around that room physically, get the camera in the position I wanted to and see on screen on my camera monitor what was going on and record those shots and cut it together. And that was really freeing for a director. It almost reminded me when I used to make like short films and stuff like that, and I was learning to make films. I used to go out with a camera and just go out and film stuff and try things out. You just want to be creative with a bunch of people and just like find the essence of what the story's about. And I didn't really think that previs would help me do that side of things. I thought it might help me with technically where to put a camera and stuff like that, but it didn't. It actually made me go, right, I don't need to worry about any of the noise. I can actually just go and create something.
I'm now really excited by the next 10 years because of this Unreal thing, in terms of it will just almost be start to finish. Maybe all production will end up like that.
Okay everyone, I hope you did enjoy that video there. Hopefully it gave you lots of information about all of the uses that Unreal Engine has. Real-time technology is going to be incredibly important for the film industry over the next few years. And what I'd like to do is just sort of touch on some of the uses and all of that good stuff. But most importantly, in just a couple of minutes, we're going to be taking you into Unreal Engine and we are going to be showing you how to use it for the very first time. Before we do that, let's just go ahead and review the objectives of the lesson. So, first and foremost, we're going to be understanding the uses of Unreal Engine, like I said, so you guys know how relevant it is to you within Framestore. We're also going to be opening up the Unreal Engine user interface for the very first time, getting you familiar with that, so when you go to use it in your job, if you do, you are going to be already nice and comfortable, and you're going to be able to start applying those skills that you've got as someone in the VFX industry already. We're then going to be showing you how to use the Unreal Engine content browser, which is going to allow you to sort through all of your different assets in your project. And then lastly, we are going to be showing you how you can place these into the scene and manipulate them so you can build your very first world. And at the end of this video, or this live stream rather, you are going to have a scene of your own, and we're going to be progressively building this as we go through this 8-week course. So, first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the uses of Unreal Engine in film. So if I can get you guys to hop over to the Discord, go over to the questions channel, I just want you to sort of send some messages, just type in some of the uses that you guys might think that there is for Unreal Engine in film. So drop them in there, let's take a look, see what we've got, and see if we've got some of the 3 main ones that I've got on my presentation here. So just hop over to the Discord, go to questions and put it in there. I can see there that we've got Gabrielle, who is sort of leading the way. She's already typing in there. There we go. Pre-production, absolutely, it can be used for pre-production, but would you like to go into a little bit more detail there? Just let me know how it can actually benefit those different departments. So I'm loving all of the responses here. So let's just take a couple of look at these. Previs is a really, really big one because, you know, you are going to be able to pre-visualize the scene in real time, which is really great. We've also got actual visualization and a whole bunch more. But what we're going to do is just hop over to the slide and just see if we can take a look at these. So the first one is set building. The first use of Unreal is set building that I've got on here, and with that, what you're going to be looking at doing is, instead of building these big massive sets in the real world that cost a lot of money, we can build them in Unreal Engine and look at them in in real time very, very quickly. And we can even scout these sets. We can move them around. We can make those changes that can't be done in the real world very easily. We can also pre-visualize our film shots in Unreal Engine, and we can make those small little changes there. So really, really useful. And lastly, something which is being used a lot at the moment in the industry is real-time rendering for LED volumes, where you have the big screens and you have real-time content on the back, and you map the camera to that, so that way you don't have to worry about green screens anymore. It's all real lighting, real environments, all behind us. So for now, we're not going to go too much into the details. Let's just go ahead and get you hands-on in today's class. So, taking a look at some of the images that I've got here, you are going to be able to see what some of the other students did in yesterday's class, the same class as this, were able to create. We're going to be creating a little world, and within that world, we're going to be taking a variety of different assets, scaling them, making them bigger, smaller, introducing ourselves to some of the different settings, to sort of make everything a little bit easier. But by the end of this class, guys, you will have a world that's going to look a little bit like this. And if you've got your own assets, or you've got your own techniques being in the VFX industry, you are going to be able to go through and make something even better than this. So this is something for you guys to really, really get excited about. So let's get hands-on. So the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and open up Unreal Engine for the very first time. Now, if you guys have the Epic Games launcher like I do, to launch the engine, all you need to do is go up to the top here, go to Unreal Engine, and then go to Library, and then just open up the latest version of Unreal you have. For me, this is 4.26.2. If you have something a little bit older or newer, then by all means, what you can do is you can actually just add a new version, and you can choose any version there that you want to work with. But for now, I am going to be opening up Unreal 4.26. Go ahead and press launch from here, and this is going to open it up for the very first time for it. Now, with this, if you have a project already, what you're going to be able to do is just simply click the project here, and you can work with that. So I've got a game that I'm working on in my spare time called Ember Vein. I could just go ahead and double click on that project, and it is going to be going straight into that for me, which is perfect. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a second for Unreal Engine to open, and then we are going to be creating our first project. So if you've got the same issue as myself, where it doesn't look like it's going to load up, just go ahead and open that up again from the Epic Games launcher. And what you should get is a little screen, nice and small, which is just going to sort of tell you the percentage of Unreal Engine that's open at the moment. Now, don't be worried if this does take a minute or two. Unreal Engine is a really big piece of software. So by all means, don't be scared. It will pop up and it will load up eventually. If you do have any issues loading up Unreal Engine at all, what I'm going to do is after this class, I'm going to supply some quick start information in the Discord that you guys can go through and you can open it up again. Now, like I said, this course and this class is going to be recorded. So having said that, You can come back and watch this another time if you do run into any initial issues right here. But as part of the joining instructions for this class, we did need everyone to make sure that they can run Unreal Engine and sort of open it up for the very first time. So I can see on my other screen here that my Unreal Engine editor is about 80% open. So probably in about 30 seconds, we are going to be able to get in and create our first project. But hopefully by seeing just how long it takes to load up, you guys are going to know that this is maybe something you want to do as soon as possible, as soon as you know that you're going to want to be using Unreal Engine. So I think mine's about to open up, and there we go. And once Unreal Engine has opened up, you are going to have the Unreal Project Browser, which looks like this. Okay, so, sorry, I was just looking at some of the questions in Discord there. But what you should have once Unreal Engine opens is something that looks like this. And what I can do from here is select my projects just like I could earlier today, or I can create a new one. And I can create these new ones by going down to games, film, architecture, automotive, whatever type of project I'm working on, I can create it from here. Now, for this video, we are going to be using a film project. So go ahead and select this, and then we're going to press next. And then what we're going to be doing is using the blank template here, because we don't want anything in here that we don't need. This blank project, though, is going to come with starter content, so don't worry about that. We've got plenty of props to work with for this class. So select your blank template, press next, and then what we're going to do from here is make sure we include the starter content. So click starter content, go to the drop down and make sure this says with starter content. And then if you want to use real-time ray tracing as part of your project, you can either enable or disable it here. So have a little play around with that. But the most important thing is, down at the bottom here, we are going to choose our destination folder for the project, which out of the box is usually about 1 GB, so make sure you've got some space. And then we're also going to be setting the name, which I'm going to be giving the name Framestore Demo. Once that's done, go ahead and press Create Project. And again, this is going to take a couple of minutes to load up, which is also a really good opportunity for you guys to go through and catch up to anything if you need to. So what I'm going to do is just quickly check over on the Discord. If you guys have been able to open up Unreal Engine just like I have, again, just go ahead and sort of give me a thumbs up in the questions channel. I just want to make sure that you guys are still all there and you are able to follow along so far. But so far, I don't think there really should be any issues. I know some people aren't going to have the computer setup required for this tutorial. And with that, I can only apologize. It's not something that's going to work on every machine. It is a very heavy piece of software. So just try and follow along with this course with what you've got. Or even if you can't follow along, just watch the video. So I'm seeing some thumbs up there in the chat there, which is perfect, so I can see people are able to follow along. My project is going to be opening in just a second. It's almost done there, and then we are going to be getting into Unreal Engine for the first time. Once Unreal Engine does open, you should have something that is going to look like this. And in here, what we're going to do is just take a minute to break down the user interface. So we're going to be taking a look at all of the different elements, briefly showing you how to use them so that we can get on our way to using Unreal Engine. So starting off, the very first thing that I can see here is we have got the Unreal Engine viewport. This is in the very middle of our screen. And with that, what we can do is we can navigate around this. This is our 3D space. And we can navigate around this by holding down the right mouse button and then using W, A, S, and D to fly around. And with that, what I want you to do is just use this viewport and get yourself nice and comfortable. you know, going backwards, forwards, left and right, and whether that's just panning around with the mouse, using the arrow keys or the W, A, S and D keys. I know everyone is going to be used to very different pieces of software in terms of, you know, the way that you're going to be able to navigate around that. So, having said that, navigating around the viewport is pretty straightforward. What we need to look at now is a couple of viewport settings that are going to come in handy for us. The first one is our modes, our viewing modes at the top here, and we can access this by going up, going to lit, or pressing this little button here, and you can get your viewport to display in a whole bunch of other modes here. So we can go into unlit mode, which is going to remove the lighting. We can go into brush wireframe, which is going to give us a wireframe view, and we've also got a whole bunch of other different settings here, or viewing modes here, that you guys can play around with. And for those of you that have been working with 3D packages, you are going to be familiar with some of these already. So with that, having said that, what we're going to do now is move away from that and take a look at the different perspective mode that we've got. So we've got our perspective mode right now, and we can also go to like a top-down view, a bottom view, a left view, right, back, and front, and all of that good stuff. But for now, for the purpose of this video, let's just go ahead and stay in the view that we've got here. Our viewport, it's nice and easy to use. We should be able to move around with it. And the other thing that you might want to look at is your camera speed. So if you go to the top right, go to your camera speed, you can press this, the little camera icon, and you can turn this up or down to increase the speed that your camera is going to be flying around. But having done that, you should now be pretty comfortable with using Unreal Engine's viewport. Let's go ahead and break down all of the other different elements we've got available to us. So, first and foremost, we have got our Place Actors panel on the left-hand side here. This is where we're going to be adding in all of our different types of components into our scene. Whether that is a light component that I can see on the tabbed view on the left here, whether that is a visual effects component, a cinematic component, I'm going to be able to take all of these different things and bring them into my world from this tab here. So let's say I wanted to grab something like a light. I could go over to lights, I could go to point light, and I could just simply drag and drop it into my viewport just like that. But hopefully that should give you an idea of what the Place Actors panel is going to allow us to do. Now, I completely understand that there is a lot of different types of actors in here, and it can be a little bit overwhelming at first, but don't worry about it. We will use a lot of these as we go through this 8-week course. So, having said that, let's go ahead and move on to the next section, which is our content browser down at the bottom here. And the content browser is where we are going to be able to browse through all of our different assets that we've got in our project. Whether that is static meshes, which is your models, whether it be your particle effects, which is like your smoke and your fire and all of that good stuff, or even if it's just things like sounds, you are going to be able to access all of that down in the content browser. And to do that, it's really straightforward. All we have to do is go over to the Show or Hide Sources panel button. We can then view all of our folders just like it's any other file explorer. And then from there, if we want to, we can expand them by pressing the little arrow. And then we can find all of our subfolders. And these subfolders might have assets in them. For example, if I go down and I press Starter Content and then go to Props, and then in here, you can now see in my content browser, I can see all of the props in here. I've got things like a chair, a bush, a door, some stairs, and all of that good stuff. You guys are going to be able to access all of this through the content browser. So just familiarize yourself with finding your assets on the left-hand side here, and then finding things. But let's take a look at making that a little bit easier as well. So let's say I go to my main content folder. I can select this in the top left here. And with this, let's say I wanted to quickly find a chair. I could do that quite easily. So I just go to the search content box, type in chair, and then now it's going to show us everything with the name chair. And I could select one of these and I can utilize them in my viewport if I wanted to. So I could even select my chair here and then just drag and drop it into the scene, which is perfect. But let's say we didn't want to see the textures and the material. That's where we can actually use filters inside of Unreal Engine to find the content that we need a little bit easier. So having said that, let's go to filters, and then we are going to only show a static mesh. And with that done, what we're going to do from there is we can now see it's only going to show our static meshes with the name chair. So now you're going to be able to very easily find your props. If you want to turn a filter off, all you need to do is just click it at the top here in your content browser, and when it goes grey, that means it has been disabled. So we know how to find our assets in the content browser. We've only got 2 more panels we want to look at before we start building inside of Unreal Engine. So that next panel we've got is our details panel. So let's say I select an object in my scene. I can do this by pressing left click on it to select it, and then you're going to notice all of the details here are going to be accessible to me, and I can see some of the settings such as the location, the rotation, the scale, and the material, the physics, the collision, and all of that good stuff. There's lots of information here, and this is where we're going to be accessing it. And not only that, we can also change some of these settings and even completely change the mesh from the settings. So I could change it from being a floor to being a cone by simply clicking on the drop down arrow. So the details panel is where you're going to be changing a lot of the settings about this actor. So what I did there as well, I just pressed Ctrl Z to go back and revert the changes that I made. But with all of these settings in the details panel, these are also going to change depending on the type of asset that you have got selected. So having said that, don't worry if you're not familiar with all of the different settings there, because as we go through and we start using these assets, you're going to get a little bit more familiar with some of the settings. For example, when we go into the lighting video, or the lighting live stream rather, we are going to be going through all of those lighting settings. Whereas today, where we're focusing on props, we're going to be looking at some of the prop settings as well. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to the next part of our user interface, which is our world outliner. Our world outliner, we can see in the top right hand corner here of our user interface. And what this is going to do is essentially outline all of the different assets that we have got in our scene. So as you can see here, we have got our floor, our light source, our player start. I can select all of these here and start changing the settings. But what you can also see is that in my viewport, it is going to highlight that object in orange so that we know that it is selected. Now, with this world outliner, what we can also do is search for something specifically. So I could go in and I could search for the floor if that's something that I wanted to do. And if I click that, I can now see it selected in here. So that's pretty much the world outliner, nice and simple. Let's go ahead and move on to how we can actually start working with assets and building our first scene. So the first thing we need to do before we touch any props is just build a new level. So what we're going to do is go to File in the top left hand corner here. We are going to go to New Level, and then we are going to be creating a new level using the default template. If you want to save your content from here, you can, but I'm not going to worry about it because it's empty. And then what you might also want to do is save this level you've just created. So go to File, Save, Current, and then what we're going to do is give this the name Framestore Level, just like that, and then press Save. And now with that, we are good to go. We've got a level and we can start putting assets in here if this is something that we wanted to do. So having done that, let's go ahead and start looking at bringing some assets in, manipulating them, and then at the very end of this, we are going to be running a challenge to see who can put together the best level inside of Unreal Engine using the starter content. So with that said, let's go ahead and take the chair into our scene. If we fly around and get nice and close to this, what we can see with this is, with it selected, we can either move it, rotate it, or even scale it if this is something that we want to do. So with this, what I'm going to do is start off by showing you how to move it. To move it, you press the Select and Translate Objects tool in the top right hand corner here, and that's also got the key binding W. So if you press this, you can then use any of the gizmos here to move it backwards, forwards, left, right, up and down, and all of this good stuff. So having said that, we now know how to move it. That's really straightforward. Let's say you wanted to move it on 2 different axes at once. We can do that too. All you have to do is select the line going between the 2 axis points here, and then I can start moving it backwards and forwards at the same time there. So just have a little play around with your assets here and get comfortable with manipulating them in the scene. But for now, that is our movement. The next thing we're going to move on to is our rotation at the top here. So if we press Select and Rotate Objects, which is E on our keyboard, we can then choose one of the 3 different axes here, and we can start rotating that as we need to. And again, we can choose any one of those 3 axes, so we can move this around on the X, the Y, and the Z. Rotation is really straightforward. So let's go ahead and move on to the next bit, which is going in and selecting and scaling the objects. We can do this by pressing R on the keyboard. So what we're going to do is select that, and now with this, we can either choose to scale it uniform, which is going to expand absolutely everything all at once at the same proportions, like this, or we can choose just one of the different axes here, and we can stretch it out if that's something that you wanted to do. Nice and straightforward. Now, that is your scale, rotate, and translate. What you can also do is, over in the details panel on the right hand side here, you can also manually dial in some numbers here. So let's say I wanted to reset the scale to 1, 1, and 1. I could do so by clicking in there, pressing 1, and then enter. And I could also do the same for the Y and the Z, just like that. So you've also got control over the size of your assets down there, and it's the same for your location too. You can slide it on the X, the Y, or the Z, nice and easy. Now, with this, there is 2 different settings that I want to introduce you to as well, to make that easier. So the first one is your snapping, and the second one is going to be your coordinate system. And I'm sure any of you guys that are familiar with 3D packages are going to know exactly what this does. So what we're going to do is start off with our snapping. When it comes to our movement, we can turn this on or off over here. But what snapping is going to do is make it jump a certain number of units. And this can be really useful if you've got some wall pieces that need to go together and you don't want to have to fine tune it every time. You know, you can just snap them together. We'll look at that as we start building a scene very shortly. So right now we've got our snapping set to 10. What we're going to do is go ahead and turn this value up to something like 100 and make sure that it is in orange to let us know that it's enabled, and then we can start snapping there, which can be useful. If you don't want this on, then all you need to do is just simply go in and turn that off, and as you can see here now, we've got complete freedom of movement over this. Going over to our rotation, we have also got the snapping option over here, and with this, what we can do is then rotate it by pressing the icon over here or E on the keyboard, and you can see it's currently snapping to 10 degrees. Let's say you wanted to turn this off, you can just uncheck this and then start rotating that object there. We can then turn this up or down if we need to, it's entirely up to you. But for now, let's just go ahead and move on to our scale snapping. And again, you can see that we can enable this in the top right hand corner here, pressing the button. So turn it off and you're going to be able to scale it however you like. Or if we turn it on, you're going to see it is going to snap little by little every single time. So have a little play around with that. What I want you guys to do is just get comfortable with scaling, rotating, and moving your assets. If you want more assets to play around with, don't forget you can go to content and then props, remove your filter if you've got one, and start bringing in other different little assets. And what I want you to do as we're going through and we're explaining all of this, start experimenting for yourself. That is how you're going to learn the best with Unreal Engine 4, or any software for that matter. So the last setting that I want to show you before we start building our scene is our coordinate system. So right now, if I rotate my object, you're going to notice the gizmos stay in the same location, which sometimes can be impractical. So what you might want to do is change this from local space to world space. So if it's in local space, it is going to follow the rotation of the actor. Whereas if it's in world space, it's going to follow the rotation of the world. So now what I can do is I can always move it on any one of these three axes. Or if I put it into my local space, I can then make it go in the direction of the actor there. So have a little play around with your coordinate system, have a play around with scaling and snapping and all of that good stuff. But let's go ahead and move on to the last part of this lesson where we are going to be getting hands-on and we are going to be building our first world. And with this, what I want to do is I want to see everyone's creation as they go through this live stream. And what I'd also like to see is if our Thursday group, so you guys that are watching this, are going to be able to create better stuff than everyone that did the same session yesterday. So let's go ahead and create a brand new level again. We are going to go to File, we're going to go to New Level, and then we are going to be creating another default level. Don't worry about saving this, but what we are going to do is save this new level, and we are going to give this the name Lesson Level. And I want you guys to save this because we are actually going to be using this as we go through this course. As we start looking at lighting in the next lesson, we are going to be using this level. We're going to be lighting this level after we've built it. So, with that done, let's talk about a little bit of a game plan. We are going to be building some walls, a door, and some objects inside of it, but we're going to be creating a nice little glass room. And we're going to be doing this by using all of the different assets we've got available to us in the content browser here. So feel free to follow along with me, or feel free to just go ahead and create your own little wacky creation if that's something that you want to do. So the first thing that we're going to add into our scene here is a door frame. So we're going to select our door frame in here. If you can't find it, just go to props and then search for door frame. And then we are going to drag and drop this into the scene there. Nice and easy. And what I'm going to do is simply move it to the edge of my floor here, because this is where people are going to be able to come through. Now, with any door frame, you are going to need a door. So let's go ahead and add in a door. So I'm just going to drag and drop it into the scene there, just like that. And as you can see here, I can, just before I place it, I can move the mouse and really fine tune that position for the door there, which is great. So that's in there perfectly, nice and snug. If you need to adjust it, Don't forget, you can just go ahead and grab your gizmo tool there and press the select and translate objects tool to move it and get it in the location you want it to be in. What I can also do with this door is I can press the rotate tool to go ahead and open this door as well, just like that. And now I've got my door and it's open. As far as my door is concerned, I'm happy with that. And because I want people to always interact with my door together at the same time, what I'm going to do is actually select both of these assets by holding down Control and then left clicking both of them. What I'm going to be able to do from here is right click and group these. So that way they're always selected together and they're also going to always be moved together at the same time. So grouping in Unreal Engine is incredibly handy, so make sure you get in the habit of using your assets and grouping them and organizing them as well. What you can even do if you've got a single asset selected is you can actually go over to your details panel here and you can give this a name, such as door or floor or something like that. So feel free to do that if that's something that you want to do. The next bit that we're going to move into for our scene here is we are going to go in and we're going to search for some glass. So we're going to look for SM_glass window and we're just going to connect it to our door frame here because we're going to be having some glass walls because we don't particularly worry about privacy. So we're going to place that in there. Now with this, you can either take two approaches to this. You can either move it all the way over to the side here and then scale it like that, or alternatively, if we press Ctrl Z to go back, we could turn our snapping on, choose a value like 10, and then copy and paste this by pressing Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and then having it snap into place just like that. Now, if it's overlapping a little bit, you might just have to work with your values, but snapping is something that's incredibly useful, and that's something that I wanted to show you just there. Scaling is easy, but also scaling is not always an option, and that's where your snapping and separate pieces might come into play. So I'm just going to delete one of these, and then I'm going to move it over so it fits in the door frame, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is just select, copy and paste, and then I'm just going to create 3 of these. And what I have got now is something that looks like this. And what I can do with these is, again, Control left click to select all 3 of these, and then just copy and paste, and then I can move them to the other side. But instead of just moving them like this, which isn't very easy for us to see, what I can do is hold down Shift and then move it, and you're going to see the camera is going to follow along with that, which just gives us a little bit more control. And as you start using Unreal Engine, you're going to start learning lots of different little camera controls that are going to make your life easier. For example, you can even hold down your middle mouse button and then just sort of pan across the level just like that. And when you start working with your assets, you are going to get a little bit more familiar with these. But it's best for you guys to just sort of learn from doing when it comes to all of these little shortcuts. So we've got our walls, we've got our door. Let's go ahead and add in a pillar. What we're going to do is look at SM pillar frame, and we're just going to drag and drop this to the end of our glass wall here. And then, again, we are going to go in and we are going to scale this, and we're going to make it so it's the same height as the door frame. As you can see, my snapping was causing an issue there, so I'm going to turn off my scale snapping. And then what I'm going to do is take my glass, just one of them, and we're going to copy and paste this and rotate it to start forming our side wall. And again, because I want to get exactly 90 degrees on our rotation, we are going to turn that rotation on, and then we are going to rotate it just like that. And this time, instead of copying and pasting the glass, I'm actually just going to scale it nice and across just like that. And then with this, we are going to copy and paste it to the other side. So Control C and Control V, and we're going to paste it in. If you haven't got a pillar frame over there, don't forget, you can just copy and paste again, and we can go in and start using that. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to start to see the power of Unreal Engine and just how quickly we can change the set if that is something that we need to do. So having said that, let's go ahead and work on our back wall here, just to sort of finish off our room, and then we can start putting some props inside of this as well. For my back wall, I am going to need 2 pillars, so 1 and 2, and I'm just going to copy and paste them and just drag them along by holding down Shift and then dragging, so that way my camera moves along with it. I'm then going to copy this last wall, Control C and Control V, and then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees and then move it over just like that, and then just make any final scale adjustments that I might need to make. But what you should end up with is something that looks like this. If you've got this far and you in the live stream and you've not got this already, feel free to pause it, go back, catch up, and then carry on as you need to. So having said that, we've now got our room. Let's go ahead and start putting some assets in there and doing some cool stuff with it. With this, you know, guys, go absolutely wild with this. Put any of these props in here. So if you want to go in here and you want to start putting some bushes in there, by all means, you can put some bushes in. If you want to put some chairs in, you can put some chairs in. If you want to put in some stairs in the middle of the room, you know, you can do that. This is your time to have that creative freedom. So what I want to see here is just you guys putting some assets in. So I'm going to start off with taking this table here, and I'm going to put it in the scene. I'm going to stretch it out just like that, like it's a little meeting room. And then what I'm going to do is just add in some chairs around this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, instead of rotating these chairs, what I could even do is actually just right click on these, transform it, and mirror it on the x-axis to just turn it around, just completely mirror it. So that's another little control there, a control option that you've got available to you. So have a little play around with this, guys, as you need. And I'm just going to put my chairs in nicely, just like that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what everyone creates by the end of this class. But for now, this is starting to look good. I'm going to put a little statue on the table there because, you know we're awesome. We have statues and awards and all of that awesome stuff at Framestore. So with that done, let's go ahead and add something else in. The next thing I'm going to add is my material preview mesh. So I'm going to select this and drag and drop it into my scene. Way too big at the minute. So I'm going to scale this down just a little bit and then rotate it so it's facing the table there. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to show you how to change the material on it so we can start experimenting with our assets, you know, changing the look if that's something that we want to do. To do that, all we need to do is select our asset, go to Materials in the Details panel on the right hand side here, and then what we're going to do is change either element 0 or element 1, which is essentially just our material slots. So if I wanted to change it from being a plain material, I could change this to something like being chrome by just choosing it from the drop down menu. Or I could choose it to another material such as gold, as you can see there. And what you should end up with is something that's going to look like that. So because we've got the starter content, Unreal Engine is going to come with a whole bunch of props and materials that we can use. So having said that, go completely wild with placing different assets into our scene. Start playing around with the materials if that's something that you guys want to do. But what I'm going to do for now is just start putting in a couple last assets into my scene here to really start making it come to life. So I'm just going to put a few little bushes around the side there. And then from there, what we're going to do is pretty much just leave our level. It should be good to go. So I'm just going to delete that. And what I've got here now is what I think is a pretty nice looking little level. So if you have got this far and you've got a level that looks anything like this, I want you to be, super proud. This is a big moment using Unreal Engine. It's got a really hard learning curve. And as we can see, we're slowly getting in here and we are creating our first scenes. So once you have got to this point and you have got a level of your own that looks like this, what I want you to do is take a screenshot of this and then put it into the Discord in the work in progress chat. And I want you guys to go absolutely wild with your level, because I want to see if the Thursday group can create wilder stuff than the Wednesday group that did this yesterday. So what I'm going to do is take a screenshot of my viewport, which I'm going to do by going to Start, opening up the snipping tool, and then what I'm going to do is just choose the viewport once this opens. So go to New, choose the viewport, and then I'm going to select this. With this preview open, we're going to copy this, and then we're going to go in, we're going to go to our work in progress channel here, and we're just going to paste it into our Discord just like that. So let's see if anyone else has been able to create any awesome levels like this. Let's see who is going to be the first person here to go in and get it into the work in progress channel. So, looking good, Bruno. I know Unreal Engine can take a little while to open for the first time, but like I said, this video is recorded, so you can go back and you can watch this another time. So, really good effort though. Let's see if we can get anyone else's levels in there. So, I really like that, Adam. I think this is probably one of the most elaborate that I've seen so far. Really, really good effort there. So I like how you changed the material. You've got lots of different props in there. That's looking really, really good. This is another solid little effort there. So we've got a couple of chairs. We've changed the material on the preview mesh there, which is really great. Let's see if we can get a last couple in here before we sort of move on. So just had a quick question there, which was how to take a screenshot of this. So I will show you how to do that again. So to do that, what I'm going to do is go to Start, and then I'm going to search for the snipping tool. And then once this has opened, we're going to go to New, and then we are just going to choose around our level here, copy this, and then we're going to go into our work in progress and we're just going to paste it in just like that. So that is how you do your screenshot. Andy, really solid effort there. I love the little island there that you've got. That is really, really nice. We've got a plain office here. That's really cool. I think, Thursday group has definitely absolutely blown it out of the water with some of the stuff that we're getting here. These are all really, really solid efforts. Rahul, love the boulder backdrop here and the use of all of these metal pieces. Really like this joined table. These are some really, really nice efforts here. So that is pretty much it for this lesson. So what I wanted to do was just sort of quickly summarize everything that we have learned. So we have watched a little video and we've had a quick talk about the uses of Unreal Engine. We have used the Unreal Engine user interface for the first time. We've figured out how to use the Unreal Content Browser to access and place props for creating our first world. So, having said that, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to put them in the Discord and I will answer them where I can, or if any of you guys have got Unreal Engine experience and you're able to help each other, use the Discord for that, because, you know, it's a really great place for communication. So by all means, make the most of that. So while we're here, just before we do finish off the live stream, I just wanted to talk about some of the upcoming content as part of this 8-week course. So we are running these sessions on a Wednesday and a Thursday. We're going to be doing one class each week, which is going to be repeated on Wednesday at 1 p.m. BST, and it's also going to be shown at Thursday at 6 p.m. BST. If you guys have got the calendar invites, you'll be able to convert that, but Wednesday and Thursday is the same session, but it's just going to change to a new session every single week. In terms of what you can expect to see in the next session, we are going to be looking at lighting in Unreal Engine 4. Following that, we're then going to be looking at importing our own assets and materials into Unreal Engine. We're going to be looking at post-processing, creating landscapes, and then we're also going to be doing a couple of sessions on some sequencer skills so we can start creating shots of our own. So we've got some really, really exciting content coming up. Lastly, what we've also got, because I know there's a lot of people that have been watching this course, because we're not able to answer those questions, we are dedicating Tuesdays at the time that you can see on the screen here for a question and answer session. So if you have any Unreal Engine questions related to this course, by all means, go ahead and just jump into the Discord in the questions and answer channel on Tuesday at 6 p.m. London time, 1 p.m. Montreal/New York time, 10 o'clock LA time, and then 12 o'clock time there as well. So make note of those. I will also be sending out an email with the Q&A stuff. Lastly, what we have also got as well is I'd like everyone to fill out a feedback form for me so I can evaluate how I'm doing as an instructor, and just letting, help me help you. The more feedback I get, the better I can make the content that is going out there to you guys. So you can either scan the QR code on the screen at the moment, or you can go over to the class info channel in the Discord. The link for the feedback form is in there. So I would say that is pretty much my hour-long lesson. So I've done that with some really nice timing. So loving some more of these little classroom or room pictures that we've got here. That's looking really, really awesome. But for now, guys, I'm going to be ending off the live stream here. Thank you for spending your hour of free time with us. I do really appreciate it. And as always, look forward to next week, where we're going to be touching up on lighting and, just the whole duration of this course, where we are going to be going through and really learning Unreal Engine 4. For now, guys, stay awesome. Keep curating. Luke, signing out.